in making sure that we defeat Prop A this November. And my original plan was to read out our whole list of endorsements for all of the organizations. We have over 80 organizations that are supporting our No Way on Prop A campaign. Thank you so much. And also to thank all the elected officials, 37 elected officials who have already joined us and have endorsed against Prop A. And of course, we have over 200 community leaders and individuals who have signed up as public supporters, and that list is growing even as we speak right now. So instead of reading the entire list and boring everyone to death with how long it is, what I'm going to do is just highlight some of the folks who are actually here today, members of the different organizations that have joined us. But really briefly, let me just say, this really is a diverse and broad coalition. We have already been endorsed by the Travis County Democratic Party, Progress Texas, thank you, yeah. The Travis County Democratic Party, Progress Texas, a lot of the local Democratic groups like Stonewall Democrats, the Austin Environmental Democrats, and a lot of progressive leaders, including precinct chairs and elected officials, who I'll recognize as well in a little bit. We also have the support of the Central Labor Council, which for those who aren't familiar, it's the umbrella organization that represents all of the unions and associations in Central Texas, and that includes folks like the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, the Amalgamated Transit Union, and of course AFSCME Local 1624, and everyone with those green shirts is here representing them as well. But it's not just the labor unions; it's other groups like Workers Defense Project, people who fight for the rights of workers as well. We have a really big contingent of environmental organizations, including folks like Sierra Club, who are always at the front of these types of fights. So thank you all for being here. We have groups like Austin Outside, folks who advocate for parks and trails and outdoor spaces, green spaces, really for the kinds of things that make Austin such a beautiful city. And thank you all for being here, for being some of the first people to join this campaign against Prop A. We also have criminal justice reform, legal system reform organizations like the Austin Black Lives Matter chapter. We have the Austin Justice Coalition. We have the Texas Civil Rights Project. And like I said, I really could go on, but we simply just don't have the time for it. But I do want to recognize some of the elected officials that are here. Like I said, we have 37 elected officials who have already endorsed the campaign. I saw some folks who are here who are not on our speaker list, so let me recognize them really quickly. We have Mayor Steve Adler, who is joining us. We have Councilmember Greg Casar, Councilmember Pio Renteria, Councilmember Paige Ellis, Councilmember Tovo, and we have Councilmember Vanessa Fuentes and Councilmember Allison Alter, who are going to be some of our first speakers. So I will introduce them in just a second. But I wanted to recognize as well, we have some of our Texas delegation here. We have Representative Cheryl Cole, and we have Representative Celia Israel joining us as well. And if there's anyone I miss, any elected officials who are here who I just forgot to mention or didn't see you arrive, just let me know and I'll try to recognize you before the end of the press conference is done. So with that, let me just move on to some of the organizations that I may have missed, but that are here, that have representatives here at this press conference, making sure that they have a presence. So we have the ACLU of Texas. We have Bike Austin. We have Go Austin, Vamos Austin. We have Just Liberty. Oh, I'm sorry. We have La Una, Local 1095. We have Nonviolent Austin. We have a housing and transportation advocacy group called Planning Our Communities. We have People Organized in Defense of Earth and Her Resources, Poder. We have the Save Our Springs Alliance. And let's see, the Texas Harm Reduction Alliance as well. The Trail Foundation. And Texas 21 Indivisible. And like I said, I'm sure I'm missing a whole lot of people. But we have a poster board that someone is holding back here where you can see the list of organizations that have signed up. And of course, we are adding every single one of those endorsements from the elected officials, from the organizations to our website. So you'll get the full list there. And, you know I missed a lot of elected officials, but we have Congressman Lloyd Doggett, Senator Sarah Eckhart. We have other members of our Texas delegation. Every single member of the Travis County Commissioners Court has endorsed. We have some Del Valley trustees, including Susanna Woody. We have some Austin ISD trustees as well. And so just go on our website and you'll be able to see the full name, or if any of you want a full list, just get in touch with me or one of the organizers and we'd be happy to provide that for you. So let me talk a little bit about Prop A and what it would mean to Austin and what it does, and the reason that it has united so many different people from so many different backgrounds and different parts of Austin. So Prop A is well, where to start? But Prop A really is an unfunded... That's true, that's true. No way on Prop A is where to start. But let me just say, it is an unfunded mandate that would force the city of Austin to spend hundreds of millions of dollars over the coming years in order to fund more police officers without being attached to any kind of accountability or requirements. It would cost the city between $271.5 million to $598.9 million over the course of the next 5 years, and it would require those police officers to have 35% of their time be dedicated to not responding to 911 calls. And so what does this mean? It means that our city will be put at, that the services that our city provides, that the residents of Austin have come to expect from their city government, from their city, would all be at risk. That we are risking irreparable harm to some of the places and people that we care most about, the kind of places and people that make Austin truly special. And so that is the reason that we are all here. That is the reason that we have this diverse group, because there is a looming threat that is coming this November, and we are going to have to face it. We are going to have to face it together. And so I'm really grateful for everyone, the supporters, the coalition members, the members of the press who are all here to get the word out about this, to let people know that this is coming, because we are confident that the more people learn about this proposal, that the more people learn about what it would do and who is behind it, the more likely they are to vote against it. So thank you for being here. And with that, let me introduce our first set of speakers. We have two council members with us. One of them represents Southeast Austin, which includes some of the neighborhoods like my own in Dove Springs, in Del Valley, and one of them represents Northwest Austin, a huge district in the northwest part of our city. They both work really hard for their own districts, but of course they make decisions that impact the city as a whole. And so they have just gone through a budget cycle where you always have to make really tough decisions, and they know firsthand what this would mean. So without further ado, let me introduce our first speakers, Councilmember Vanessa Fuentes and Councilmember Allison Alter.
This one? Oh, you want it out? Like this? Yes. Right. Good morning, Austin. I'm Councilmember Allison Alter.
I'm Councilmember Vanessa Fuentes.
From north to
South and from east
to west, we stand committed against Prop A. Across the city, we understand that Prop A is fiscally irresponsible, socially irresponsible, and likely illegal to boot. Austinites overwhelmingly support funding community services. Just this year, the City Council has invested in ambulances to handle COVID-19 and other health crises, a new family violence shelter, mental health services, substance use programs, housing for Austinites experiencing homelessness, park rangers, victim service counselors, gun safety education, and other violence prevention activities.
If Prop A passes, all of these services will be on the chopping block. We're talking about neighborhood public libraries, neighborhood swimming pools, mental health services, and many other services would no longer be accessible. And for communities like mine, where we already lack the basic infrastructure that we see in other parts of the city, this would only make it worse. Instead of promoting public safety, Prop A would do the exact opposite. It would force the city to cut essential services instead of investing in a comprehensive public safety approach that actually addresses the root causes of crime. One thing is clear. Prop A is not comprehensive public safety. As representatives from all across Austin, we stand united in fighting this fiscally irresponsible proposition. The future of our city, the future of how we do city governance, and the future of public safety that meets the needs of all Austinites depend on Austin rejecting Prop A.
Thank you all very much. One more round of applause for our council members, Councilmember Fuentes and Councilmember Allison Alter. Thank you very much. Okay, so our next speaker is someone who's going to talk a little bit about why we are here in this venue. He is really well known by a lot of the folks here as a really fierce local environmental activist. He's been an attorney with Save Our Springs, which is one of our endorsing organizations. And so I'd like to introduce you to Bobby Levinsky.
Good morning. My name is Bobby Levinsky, and I am here representing environmentalists all across this city who are joining together in opposition to this reckless and irresponsible proposition. The decision to hold this press conference here today at Barton Springs was no mistake. We are here because the organizers recognized, like environmentalists recognize, that Proposition A is an imminent environmental threat. When our city faces a budget shortfall, when Proposition A raids our general fund, it will be our parks and our pools that pay the public price through budget cuts. We should not have to sacrifice Barton Springs because some right-wing extremists decide to push an arbitrary policing metric. We are here to celebrate our pools and our parks and the resources that they provide our community. Our community, our public health, and our families rely on the public resources that are given by our parks and our pools. We cannot allow right-wing extremists to stand in the way of our public resources and our public pools. So I'm here asking Austin voters all across the city to please join the environmental groups. Please join Austin Environmental Democrats, Austin Outside, Clean Water Action, Friends of Rosewood Park, Poder, Sierra Club Austin, Sunrise Movement Austin, Texas Campaign for the Environment, and the Trail Foundation, and most importantly, my favorite, Save Our Springs, who protects Barton Springs every day, to join us and fight against Proposition A. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Bobby. I think he did that better than I could have hoped for at the beginning there. But it's true, we have so many environmental groups who were the first, most enthusiastic supporters that joined this coalition because they have had some really fierce fights over the years and they know what's at stake with Prop A. So with that, let me introduce our next speaker. He's someone who doesn't need an introduction. He is the executive director and the founder of the Austin Justice Coalition. I'd like to introduce you to Chas Moore.
Good morning, everybody. Try that again. Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna try to stay on script, but I gotta go off script. That's just part of the brand at this point. I want to point out one key thing in particular. When you look behind me, you see a truly diverse group of folks compared to the Save Austin Now press conference that was pretty much one shade of folks. So when we say the community is behind this campaign, you can look behind me and see that the community is actually behind this campaign, and I'm glad to be here this morning. I'm gonna say a couple things, and then I'm gonna get out the way. First and foremost, Prop A is nothing more than a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's not police reform as it claims. Don't be deceived by these feel-good words like training and diversity that's coming from these other groups. A few facts on what's actually in this measure. This measure requires 40 hours of additional mandatory training of quote-unquote equip the officers to handle evolving, fluid, dangerous situations. And the petition suggests that the focus should be on intermediate weapons proficiency, active shooter scenarios, and hasty react time. This is more of the same warrior-like policing that we've been seeing for years. This is the same policing that results in the killings of Mike Ramos and George Floyd and countless others, and brought tens of thousands of us out in the streets last summer during a year of protests. Another key thing is that it doesn't really hold anybody accountable like they claim that it does. It gives officers a bonus once every 5 years for good conduct. Most officers would meet the criteria. Pay has never been the problem, and adding stipends isn't the solution. What we need in Austin is to continue overhauling training academies, which is a process City Council launched this year. Austin needs to strengthen accountability, transparency, and oversight in the next contract negotiation. And Austin especially boldly needs to continue to identify functions that we have given to the police, but could be better done by someone else. That is the change we need. That way, public safety can really do more than policing down the road. Prop A is a total reversal of the shift that Austin went through during and after the protests of summer 2020. And I have to give a shout out to City Council for being bold enough to take those steps with the community. We need every Austinite who posted a black square last summer, every Austinite who marched with us down Congress Avenue, every resident who called into council a voice of solidarity with black community to vote no way on Prop A. And I have to say this before I go. This Prop A nonsense crap is nothing more than a retaliation against the Black Lives Matter movement for calling for changes in our police departments. When you look at the folks that stood up at the Save Austin Now campaign, those are the same folks that probably back in 1992 called us super predators. These are the same folks that probably think George Floyd deserved to die. These are the same folks that think Mike Ramos should have just surrendered. These are the folks that think policing is the only way to public safety. So let me make this very clear. Yes, this is a social issue. This is a racial issue as well. And I know we don't like to talk about that. I know I bring it up all the time, but that's who we are in this country. And until we really have those conversations, we're going to keep seeing propositions like this pop up. This is a straight attack on all the black, brown, and indigenous folks that have been saying for years we need to change the way we do things. These are folks that are, if I'm being quite honest, this is residue left over from the Trump era that want to make America great again. And this is Austin. We're not going to make America great again. We're going to keep being weird, and we're going to keep trying to do things in an equitable fashion that makes sure every Austinite, every Texan that comes to the city feels safe. And the bottom line is the way we do policing now does not make us feel safe. We don't need more cops. We need more resources for pools. We need more resources for mental health resources. We need more resources to go and invest in our communities. We don't need no more cops. No way on Prop A.
All right. Well, thank you, Chaz, for those powerful words and for being so candid, because that is the reality, and thank you for speaking truth. So next, I want to introduce someone who is here representing AFSCME Local 1624. That's the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. These are the folks who this summer made sure to keep the pools open so that kids and families could get together. You know, they maintain our streets, our sidewalks. They make sure folks are safe. They were the ones that during the winter storm went out and made sure that the power lines went back up so that folks, you know, could have life-saving services. And so with that, let me introduce our business manager for AFSCME Local 1624, Carol Guthrie.
Good morning. My name is Carol Guthrie, and I am the business manager for AFSCME Local 1624. The Austin labor movement stands united behind this dangerous proposition, which would directly impact so many city employees. If Prop A passes, AFSCME members will be some of the most at risk of losing their jobs. And that's what will happen. People will lose their jobs. To pay for this fiscally irresponsible measure, if Prop A passed, we would cut services, deep cuts to services that the public has enjoyed for years. They would be gone. Your parks employees, library staff, paramedics, firefighters, everyone will be on the chopping block, except for the police. We want our city to have a comprehensive approach to public safety, and we can create that, but not this way. Prop A will not make us more safe. It will make us less safe by pitting one group over another. And at the end of the day, to balance this proposal, it will be balanced on the backs of the workers and the community. So vote no on Prop A.
Thank you, Carol, and thanks for all that you do to advocate for our public workers. I think what Chaz and Carol both said is very true. You know, this is something that is not going to be providing comprehensive public safety, and that's what the people of Austin want. So, you know, we have a lot of folks here who have worked on improving those services, improving public safety and public health in our city, and this is something that threatens to derail all of those efforts. So with that, let me introduce our next speaker. This is someone I'm really excited to introduce. He and I work together on advocating for transit services for low-income communities, but he is here in his capacity as the president of the Austin Area Urban League. Please help me welcome Quincy Dunlap.
Good morning. My name is Quincy Dunlap. I have the privilege and honor of serving Austin and Central Texas as the president and CEO of the Austin Area Urban League. I'm also privileged not to be politically correct about no way on Prop A. I want us to understand what it means to take hundreds of millions of dollars and not direct it to where it is absolutely needed in the community. This Prop A is a transition of resources in an unnecessary way. It will cause divestment in community services, critical community needs. We are not investing in housing as we should for the unhoused and the homeless. We are not directing services and resources to mental health. I want you to consider the group, the Political Action Committee, that is proposing Prop A. It is a group of elite Austin wealthy people. They are not interested in serving those who need the services most. 500 more police imposes a police state, in my opinion. It is leading in a direction that does not invest in the community or reinvest strategically in the services and the supports that is needed by our people. The coalition partners that we have here today stand against Prop A. Call and response. When I say no way, you say on Prop A. No way. On Prop A. Let's get it louder. No way. On Prop A. No way. On Prop A. Let us stand united against Proposition A and what it represents to the people of Austin. Those individual groups that are often marginalized or discriminated against or excluded in quality of life. We are talking about blacks and African Americans, the disabled, the homeless, other marginalized groups, Latinos, Hispanics. I want us to be careful about how we receive the information that is deceiving inside of Prop A. This group is very specific about how they manipulate and manage information that is disseminated to the public. Do not be deceived. All of our partners have appropriate information labeled to be digested by the community so we can understand exactly what Prop A is. Do not be deceived by adding 500 more police. Once we put that money in the budget, we cannot redirect it as determined by the state ledge, right? And not everybody voted for that. So we got some individuals here from the state ledge who voted no on that. But it passed. And we have to be mindful that once we put that money forward in that way, we cannot get it back. It is more needed in the community where it should be reinvested and purposeful. No way. No way. No way. Thank you.
Thank you, Quincy, and thank you for to the Austin Area Urban League for all the advocacy that they provide as well. Something that Quincy said, it echoed something that Chas said, which is, this proposition is really shrouded in this flowery language about public safety and accountability and things like that. But we're here united against it because we know that's not true. They have been misleading Austinites since they were gathering petitions to get this on the ballot. And so, it's going to be all of our jobs to make sure that folks are informed about the facts of what this proposition actually does. So with that, let me introduce our next speaker. He is an expert on criminal justice issues. He is a professor at UT, and he is a former Austin City Council member. Help me welcome former Council member Bill Spellman.
As many of you know, Austin is and has been for many years one of the safest cities in Texas and in the United States. We have had, for a long time, one of the lowest homicide rates, one of the lowest violent crime rates of any city in Texas and the United States. And that is still true. But it's also true that, like 90% of the cities in the United States, our homicide rate went up. It went up by 36% last year. It went up by 36% all over the country. And it deserves a serious response. Prop A is not a serious response. After 40 years of constant effort by hundreds, thousands of police officers all over the country, all over the world, we have developed a set of principles as to the right way to solve a crime problem. The first thing you do is you ask yourself, the first thing you have to do is understand the problem and ask the same questions that journalists have to answer in the very first paragraph of any news story. Who, what, when, where, how. Because those are if you get answers to those questions, that will answer the big question, why? Why did this happen? Why is this happening to these people in this place at this time? We don't know the answers to that question. But when we do find the answers to that question, that helps us understand what it is we need to do to solve it. And we know from long experience all over the country, all over the world, that that's not going to be confined to the police department. The police department cannot solve these problems by itself. They need to work with other government agencies. They need to work with social service agencies. They need to work with businesses. They often need to work very directly with communities to get the help they need in order to solve problems. Prop A is the opposite of all that. It believes implicitly that more of the same will solve this problem somehow magically. It's not going to work. We know from long experience, more of the same gets us the same old results. This deserves a serious response, and Prop A is diverting attention from that serious response and beggaring the same social service agencies and government agencies the police department is going to need to rely upon if it's going to create a serious solution to this serious problem. No on Prop A.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Bill Spellman, for your words. And next, I want to introduce someone who is here representing the creative community. He is a really talented musician. I don't know what all he plays, but I know that it's at least rock, jazz, pop, funk, Texas soul. And not only is he a talented musician, but he also is someone who cares for his community, who has been advocating for mental health care services for other musicians, and like I said, for the people that make Austin so special. So with that, let me introduce an Austin-based musician, Scott Strickland.
Good morning. I had a little something planned, but I'm kind of throwing that out of the window just a little bit to kind of get some things here. So I'm literally, I was supposed to have a Zoom meeting earlier, and I work for the Economic Development Office in that capacity of as a music commissioner. And as a music commissioner, part of my job is to make sure that money that is going to is being given to the city is going to musicians in an equitable fashion. Now, I can't do that job because I have to come here and talk about how we don't need any more funding for the police, which is kind of ridiculous in a sense, but this is where we are, so we're here. In my capacity as a music commissioner, also as a precinct chair, Katie Najaro's here, Austin, Texas musicians, I vehemently advocate for musicians because they don't have the capacity to do anything for them. They don't have the capacity to really fight for themselves in some cases. And I have the capacity to do that. The problem with Prop A is that it's not only going to take money from Parks and Rec, it's also going to take money away from musicians. It's also going to take money from the Cultural Arts Division. So everything that you love about music, everything that you love about the arts and what this city basically blesses itself on, being the live music capital of the world, that's going to go away. It will go away if we continue to fund an already fully funded police department. I do support our brave men and women that get up every single day and that have to do the hard jobs that other people won't do. I do absolutely support that, and I can stand up for police officers, but I cannot support what's happening here, and I have to vote no on Prop A. What we need to do is in November, every single person, just like the gentleman said earlier, that you put up a black box, if you put up a black square on your Instagram page, if you put up a black square, if you advocate for Black Lives Matter, if you advocate for equality, for equity in Austin, we need you to vote no on this. And the reason for this is musicians are being hit hardest and the most. Artists, the first thing to go during a pandemic, the first thing to go in any situation at all whatsoever, it is funding for the arts. It goes first, and then everything else slides downhill. We are dealing with a pandemic. We are entering into the fourth quarter, which is the busiest time of year for musicians, but a lot of musicians are losing work because of this Delta variant. There's other variants on the way. We have to codify and solidify around the idea that, yes, it's not a popular election, it's not a presidential election, it's not the sexiest thing in the world. But if you care about musicians and if you care about the arts, you have to vote no on Prop A. You have to do it. Vote no on Prop A. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Scott, and thanks for all your advocacy as well. We only have one speaker left, and I'll introduce her in a second. But I just wanted to say, you know, not only are we here to launch our official campaign, No Way on Prop A, we're really here to sound the alarms, to raise the alarms, and let people know, if you care about Austin the way we do, if you love our parks, our pools, everything that Austin has to offer, if you love the people, the culture, the arts, the musicians, then you have to vote no on Prop A. So thank you so much, Scott, for emphasizing that point. So our final speaker is someone that I'm also excited to introduce. I've known her since I was a student at UT, and she is currently our party chair for the Travis County Democratic Party. And so she's going to talk a little bit about, you know, who is behind this proposition, how it came about, how it got on the ballot, and why it's so important that we vote against it. Please help me welcome Katie Naranjo.
Good morning. It's a beautiful September day and finally cool. My name's Katie Naranjo. I'm a mom. I'm an Austin resident. I'm a Democrat, and I'm the chair of the Travis County Democratic Party. And I'm here to make sure you all know and that voters know where Democrats stand this November. Democrats believe that our criminal justice system must be transformed, that we can't continue the historic practices of spending more on policing and not focusing on comprehensive public safety. We believe comprehensive public safety includes mental health resources caseworkers, reentry social workers who help folks get out of the criminal justice system and use our tax dollars to lift people up, not keep people behind bars. We believe in equitable and accessible justice. That is not what Prop A is. We believe in ending unnecessary arrests, and we believe that our community must be represented within our law enforcement, and that our law enforcement must be of the community. We also believe in de-escalation training and making sure that there is community policing and community relationships. But more importantly, we believe in public safety that includes police, yes, but fire, EMS, mental health, and prevention services. If you signed the petition that Save Austin Now, which is the Republican Party, to be clear, they call themselves by another name. They're a wolf in sheep's clothing, exactly. But the Republican Party's petition, if you signed the Republican Party's petition and you're a Democrat, you're not a bad person. You were lied to. I know, because I was lied to. I was walking in the park with my son when I was approached by a canvasser for the Republican Party and Save Austin Now. And they lied to me, and I have that on film. And so you're not a bad person, but you can do the right thing this November by making sure that our government and our city, our local elected officials who are elected by hundreds of thousands of voters are not having their power stolen away from them by the Republican Party. You have the right to make sure that our budget, our city services are not gutted by Republican extremists. John Cornyn, Governor Abbott, Chip Roy do not represent Austin. All Democrats, the Democrats here, the precinct chairs of the Democratic Party voted unanimously against Proposition A. Democrats, progressives, independents, environmentalists, social justice advocates, we all stand united against Prop A. No way? No way? Early voting starts October 18th and runs through October 29th. And on November 2nd, what are we going to say? No way! Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Katie. And thank you to all our speakers again. Thanks to all the elected officials who join us. Thank you to all the members of the press. I did want to say, I don't know if I missed anyone else, but I know that our county judge, Andy Brown, also joined us. So thank you for being here. And if I missed anyone else, please let me know. I just wanted to say to the folks who are here that are members of the coalition and our supporters, we do want to grab a photo after we're done. So please stick around if you're able to. We'll try to do a little bit of distance. Try to keep your masks on if you can, and we'll get together for a photo. And then for the members of the press, like we said, we're really just going to need your help letting folks know that this is happening, that this is on the ballot, and just getting the facts out there, because really that's what it's going to take, is people knowing what this does for them to realize that if they care about our city, if they care about everything that makes our city great, that the only choice really is to vote no way on Prop A. So if y'all have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them. I might rely on some of the expertise and the folks that are here behind me to help answer some of those questions. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Yeah, okay. So just the question was that it was more of a comment that some of the media that's here is Spanish language media. And so if there are folks who are members of the coalition who feel comfortable, answering some questions in Spanish, please connect with the folks from the Spanish language news sources that are here. I'm a Spanish speaker, so I'm happy to help with that in just a little bit as well. Claro que sí. Estamos aquí unidos en contra de la Proposición A. La Proposición A es una proposición que se puso en la boleta por un grupo de republicanos que hace que la ciudad tenga que gastar cientos de millones de dólares en contratar más policías. Pero no provee nada de ese dinero. Entonces, por lo que estamos aquí es que eso va a causar que nosotros tengamos que reducir servicios y programas como parques y bibliotecas, y por eso estamos aquí en Barton Springs, porque esta es una de las cosas que nuestra ciudad puede ofrecer, porque los ciudadanos de Austin y los residentes ayudan a pagar por esos servicios, la gente que mantiene toda nuestra ciudad, nuestras calles, nuestros parques y todos esos servicios los vamos a tener que cortar, porque la ciudad simplemente no tiene cientos de millones de dólares para gastar así nada más. Y nosotros queremos seguridad pública, pero la seguridad pública no es solamente sobre el número de policías, sino los servicios que se ofrecen a las familias y a los vecindarios, que la ciudad ahorita, aún así, nos tenemos que enforzar para poder darlos, y solamente es la proposición A lo va a hacer más difícil. Entonces les estamos diciendo a todos los residentes de Austin que aman esta ciudad, que aman a los lugares y a las personas que hacen nuestra ciudad tan especial, les estamos pidiendo que se unan a nosotros y que voten no en la proposición A este noviembre. ¿Cómo? ¿Nombre completo y título? Sí, yo me llamo David Chincanchan y alguien se rió porque mi apellido está largo, pero David Chincanchan, y mi título en inglés es Outreach Director, y no sé cómo lo traduciría, pero director de alcance o algo así, pero si quieres puedo platicar con ustedes más tarde. Gracias. Okay, are there any other questions? ¿Otras preguntas? No? Okay. Well, then in that case, let's get together over here. Okay, yeah. So the folks who are up here are going to be the ones taking the photos. So let's get back here somewhere where we'll be in their line of sight. And thank you again, everyone, for being here. Appreciate it. Wow, that was not prepared for that.